Still Loading podcast is brought to you by the wonderful people on Patreon. Amazing people like Ryan K, Melissa S, Kevin from the Bit by Bit Foundation, Gilmer, Stephen P, Matt aka Stormageddon, and Mr. Biscuits have all been wonderful enough to support the show over there. So if you would also like to get your name read at the beginning of an episode, along with a bunch of other goodies, go over to patreon.com/stillloadingpod and check out everything it has to offer. On this episode of Still Loading,
it just looks like a big puddle to me. I'd say you're all wet, princess.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the Still Loading podcast. I'm your host, Josh Koval, and today's episode, we are looking at another episode of the Legend of Zelda cartoon. It's episode squared, I guess, because I keep using that damn word over and over again. It's an episode of an episode, episodeception. All right, I'm already annoying myself with that word, but we are here to talk about the 7th iteration of the Legend of Zelda cartoon. And joining me today, my co-host with the Mo-host, Dexter Morrill. Dex, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I'm having some episodes here with starting this episode.
God damn it. Oh, man. And we have some Underworld Connections with these episodes, I guess. But
well played.
Yes, Dexter. As we alluded to here, the episode title is Underworld Connections, and the little bit of a confusion here. Wild Brain, the YouTube channel that I guess owns the legal rights. Wild Brain is I think it's a Canadian entertainment company. They own the rights to the Legend of Zelda cartoon, and that's why they have it uploaded there, at least from what I can tell. Otherwise, why else would they have it on their official YouTube channel? They have Underworld Connections listed as episode 7, when on the Wikipedia page where it goes over release dates, it has Underworld Connections as episode 8, and episode 7 on Wikipedia is Doppelganger, which Wild Brain has 8, so they flip-flopped them, which is a little odd.
Yeah, it's weird how that happens sometimes.
Yeah, so we're going slightly out of order according to Wikipedia, but slightly in order according to Wild Brain Superheroes.
It's advantageous if our listeners are going in the Wild Brain order, if they've got that playlist going.
Yep. And this episode would have released on October 27th, 1989. The Doppelganger one, which we'll cover in 2 months, is October 20th, 1989. So just a week prior. It was directed by John Grust and written by Bob Forward. I don't know how you pronounce Grust. Is it Grust? Is it whatever? But I like to say Grust because it sounds funny to me.
And it sounds more like the guy from Skyward Sword.
I've never played Skyward Sword, actually.
Oh my goodness.
I am playing through Wind Waker again currently, though.
Nice. I need to do that, but I've been putting it off because I keep thinking that Nintendo's going to be like, and here's the re-release for Switch.
They're not going to do that.
I don't think that's going to happen for a while, because didn't they just announce it for the NSO GameCube for Switch 2?
Oh, did they? I have no idea. I just know that they have, obviously, the GameCube add-on for the GameCube app for Switch 2. But so we're talking Underworld Connections, though, and this one, you know what, listeners, if you've been following along with this series, Dexter and I usually have differing opinions on the Zelda cartoons. We usually line up with the Mario ones, where we both like an episode, where we both dislike an episode. But the Zelda one's a little bit back and forth. So I want to start off this episode, Dex, with just giving real quick, did we like it, did we not like it, and see if we match. I think that might be fun for the rest of the series, what's ever left of the Zelda cartoons. Did we like it? Did we not like it? Just to see, are we lining up or not? So, Dex, I want to throw it over to you. Did you like Underworld Connections?
I thought this was a mostly good episode. There were some things that annoyed me either about what was happening or annoyed me that was like something that was purposely annoying.
Mm-hmm.
I can go into that more later, but I would say this was mostly a good one.
Dude, I am 100% with you.
Okay.
Really, I actually enjoyed this one a
Yeah.
decent amount. I think mainly because it has enough moments where like I question the show's logic, and that's what that type of shit does it for me. When you're watching a cartoon and you're like, this doesn't make any fucking sense, and I kind of love that for some reason, and I don't know why. I love it when shows don't make like old cartoons don't make sense. It's just amusing to me. Maybe you know what? Maybe it's because it makes me feel smart. Like I'm pointing out, like I'm so smart for finding the flawed logic uh, of a of a gimme, like a cash grab video game cartoon,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
It makes you feel smarter, kind of in a way.
the Zelda cartoon makes you feel smarter. I can't even speak. That's how smart I am, apparently. Uh, but no, Underworld Connections. It begins with Link tossing and turning in his bed decks, and what do you know? He apparently is a sleepwalker. He walks like a mummy, and he just kind of gets up out of bed, grabs his bow and arrow, shoots it across the towers into Princess Zelda's bedroom while she's sipping a cup of something while reading a book. She has a straw in a chalice, Dex. She has a straw in a platinum chalice.
She's a classy princess.
I just love the idea of like you have this medieval world, right? So you have this chalice, this goblet, this royal like piece of utensil or whatever, this royal cup, right? And she's got this little straw, which technically probably would not have existed in any type of medieval type of timeline, but whatever.
This is true.
Oh, I just
But
noticed a little error too. When Link is walking across that tightrope to get over to Zelda, she's holding her chalice with the straw in it. But when you see a close up of it, there is no straw in her chalice anymore. But when it cuts to a wide shot of Link walking the tightrope and Zelda in it, you can still see the straw in her cup.
yeah, I hadn't noticed that.
And then then it cuts back to the close up and the straw's gone again, and she throws it on Link to wake him up while he's walking on the fucking tightrope, suspended like hundreds of feet in the air.
Yeah. Even if she didn't realize he was sleepwalking, like she had to know that could kill him.
She clearly doesn't not care. Maybe, I don't know. She's
Yeah.
a very confusing character.
I must ask though, also, when did you think that Link was sleep murdering when he first walked over and got his bow and arrow and aimed it at Zelda's bedroom?
No,
I was
nah.
like, this could be the best plot Ganon's ever had.
Hypnotize Link to like fucking kill Zelda for him.
Yes. And then when he shot the wall, I was like, oh, okay, he's doing a tightrope. And then, like you said, when she threw her drink on Link, I was like, okay, that's a murder right there.
Right? Like, wow. Just doesn't give a fuck. To be fair, Link's a piece of shit. Like he is. In this episode, he's always, this episode was weird because actually no, we'll get to it. So Link's hanging it, just he falls off, but he hangs onto the rope. And then what are they called? Pyres is what they call them. These like winged bat looking things. They're not like the normal things from Zelda,
Oh,
right?
the fires. Yeah, well, before that, Link
Vire, thank
actually
you.
has a legit good line here because he tells her like, "Oh, I was sleepwalking," and she's like, "Okay, yeah, whatever." And he's like, you got to admit, whether I'm awake or asleep, you're still the girl of my dreams.
Yeah, I actually wrote that down. He goes, "Can you blame me when I'm awake or asleep? You're the girl of my dreams." And she goes, "That's a cheesy line." And he goes, "Did it work though? Find out." And then she goes in for a kiss, and that's when the Vires show up.
Yes, I was going to say, in our normal, like, this show did it first. They did the Spider-Man kiss first. Like, that's what was going on there. Famous by the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie. But yes, that's when they noticed the Vires, Vires, which I still to this day don't know if it's a translation thing because it's supposed to be like vile, because Link does say later, like those vile Vires, or if
Yeah.
because they're tiny, if it's supposed to be like a shortened version of vampire to Vire.
That would make sense. I never thought of it like that. They don't last very long, to be fair. So
That's
it's
true.
not like you have to
They
get to know it.
also they
Oh, go
also
ahead.
turn into bats. They also turn into, or geese, I should say, which I did notice that when Link zaps one of them, um, it just dies. It doesn't turn into
Mhm.
geese, which I was like, hey, hold on. Vire is supposed to split into geese when you zap them, but
Not everything's going to be have that Zelda continuity, I guess.
that's true. That's true.
Now, something I noticed. So they Zelda says the Vi are going after the Triforce, and Link goes, that doesn't make any sense. The Triforce is too big for them to carry. And she goes, well, they're carrying a bomb to blow it up. I'm like, what the fuck? You're just gonna blow up the Triforce? It's not like you could just repair that shit, but apparently you can.
Well, technically, the very first game, the pieces of Triforce that you're collecting are pieces that
Oh, that's true.
Zelda
I'm
broke
dumb.
apart so
Even
that
like
you
Wind
could.
Waker, like I just said I was playing, they do that too. You have to collect pieces of the Triforce.
Yeah.
I'm losing my goddamn mind with this. Something I noticed though was that when Link goes to, chase after them, this is you don't see it much in the rest of the episode, but in this opening action sequence, this is the first of two instances of Link having fucking extreme like body strength. So if you notice, he's hanging from that rope by just his hands, right? And he, within one swing, launches himself up to the top of it. Like the amount of core strength you need to have to do a single swing on a rope that's not even stationary. It's not tight, right? It's very loose, or loose-ish. Is wild. And he makes it over there, but not in time. The bomb blows up, or he swings up to the top of the rope, runs across, doesn't make it over in time because the bomb blows up, and he falls off. Zelda saves him. She takes the rope from the arrow, or she grabs the whole arrow with the rope and swings over and saves him. She does that a lot in this episode, actually.
Yes, I was good. The line delivery was funny here when he blows up and is falling, and he's just like, "Farewell, princess!" Like Link is just ready to bite it right now.
Well,
And
this is how I die.
yeah, exactly. Farewell, princess. And I can't remember what Zelda says here when she swings over, like, "Not on my watch, Buster," or something like that.
Yeah.
And when she swoops and catches him and they land, Link lands directly on his chin, and I was like, "That
Broken
you don't
jaw.
cut that." Yeah, you just instant broken jaw.
And then they run into the room to go after the keys that are stealing, not the keys, sorry, the Vires that are stealing the Triforce shards, the three different shards. And they chase after him. Link is able to grab onto one while it's pulling him towards the window. And then he's able to grab his sword while he's getting dragged towards the window. And right before the Vire goes out the window, which, side note, if the Vires weren't strong enough to carry the Triforce, why were they able to pull Link along?
That
Is the
is
Triforce significantly heavier than Link? That's the only thing I
it
can
can't be because they
explain.
use it as a balloon at some point in a previous episode, implying that it would float away if on its own accord they didn't tie it down.
It's light enough to be a balloon, but too heavy for Vires. But a Vire can also still pull Link along. Okay, sounds good, cartoon. They pull him along. He grabs a sword and he zaps it. And then this is an instance of Link being fucking inhuman, like in terms of strength, a second time because he zaps it. If he falls out the window, and the only reason he doesn't fall to his death is because his ankles are made of goddamn steel.
His
And
toes. I don't think it was
his
even his ankles.
well, his ankles are on the side. He's holding himself up by his feet on the ledge. He's completely upside down at this point. And in one hit, this is the first instance of many in this episode where he says, "Excuse me, princess." I think this is the most "excuse me, princesses" in a single episode. I'm calling
Yes,
it
I wrote that down. I think I counted 5, if I remember.
5. Okay, I only counted 3, but I wasn't paying as much attention until the end. I'm like, that's a lot. That's like the third time he said it. So I wouldn't be surprised if he said it more.
Oh, yeah.
But he is dangling upside down by his feet. I don't know how else to describe it, where it's like, imagine you lock your feet in at a 90-degree angle and the top parts of your feet are the things that are on the ledge, and that's the only thing holding you to that ledge. Gravity is just pulling you down.
That's how he caught the Vire, was with the backs of his toes, not even like
Wait,
grabbing
really?
on like
I didn't even
bird
notice that.
talons, but the backs of his toes he hooked onto the ledge of the window, so that when the Vire died, he swings down like face plants into the side of the building, and like you said, like hangs like an action figure by his feet.
And while he's saying "excuse me, princess," he has to pull up his nightgown, right? But how does he do it? He can't drop his precious sword, Dexter. So he pushes up his nightgown with his own sword.
That sounds very safe.
So safe. Oh my god, it's so dumb. So they get back into his room. Link goes, "My room's a mess," and Zelda goes, "It looks pretty normal to me."
I think that might have been the first "excuse me, princess" too, by the way, because he's hanging there and she's like, "Come on, get in here."
Mm-hmm. And excuse me, princess.
Yes. This is, we were talking earlier about how, Link can be pretty skeevy. But I feel like they deserve each other in this particular episode because Zelda's pretty rude back to him. So they kind of, they give it to each other in this episode.
Yeah, I still am blown away. Like when Jala told us about how this was like a lot of this was based off of moonlighting,
Yeah.
and like you can see the relationship in here. I don't. When she told me that, and I'm like, I don't know if I ever want to watch Moonlighting. Then if Link's supposed to be Bruce Willis, I don't want to deal with that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's hard to unsee it once you realize it.
No, thank you. So they determine the best way to do it because they were able to take out the one Vire. And Zelda goes, well, because these Triforce pieces are linked, if you zap the one shard, it'll come out the other side. So why don't you try zapping this and it'll zap the Vires on the other side of the Triforce shard. I'm like, if you can zap your energy, why can't you just like put your fucking hand through it and just like go to the other side at that point?
My whole thing was after she says that, Link's like, okay. And she just holds it up in front of her, and I'm like, don't you want to put that down so it doesn't shoot you in the face?
That's so true. You don't know if it's going to work or not. If he blasts it, if he shoots it and it blasts apart in your hands, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. He's like, she was just like, okay.
And just fucking blows up. It does work though. It does in fact work, and it takes out the two Vires, and one Triforce piece falls into water, and the other kind of falls into like a volcano, lava area, like really hot rocks type of thing. And I love the logic. It's where, well, if we touch the Triforce piece here, we can get a hint as to where it is. One side is very wet and the other side is very hot. So that gives us a hint as to where we need to go.
Very specific.
I love how when they do find the thing later on too, Zelda goes, "Well, this is the wettest place around." I'm like, that sounds vaguely sexual, but okay. Go ahead, dive in, Link. So that yes, they start to go out on an adventure, but I do love Link's one line. Do you know what he says right before they leave, before Zelda says we leave in like 5 minutes or whatever, or like meet me at the bottom of the castle? Do you remember what he says?
Oh, he says something about needing beauty sleep, right?
He goes, "It's past my bedtime."
That's right. That's right.
It's
That's past
past
my
my bedtime.
bedtime. And I was distracted during that because his eyebrows keep disappearing.
I didn't notice that. What? Hold on, I have to go back now. D- what's going on with this? Oh my god, you're right. It just disappears. 5 minutes and like 50 some, like 53 seconds or so. 51. 5 minutes and 51 seconds on the Wild Brain video. His eyebrows just disappear. What? Did they just forget to draw them in like 2 or 3 frames? Like, what the hell?
I didn't realize that they would be a separate layer, but they just must have been a separate layer.
Well, remember, do you think it was a separate layer, or did they just draw a handful of frames without his eyebrows?
No, because the eyebrows don't even move unless they intended to animate his eyebrows moving in that.
But
And
what I'm saying is, don't normally. So you know more about animation than I do, but if this was still all done by hand, right? Technically, this would
right,
have all still done by hand back then, right? So they have to draw every single frame, don't they?
they have to paint. Yeah, they have to. So they draw them and then they
Oh,
paint
but okay,
them.
I understand. So if Link's not moving, they don't really necessarily need his eyes are blinking, but that's about it.
Yes, so they can keep the same Link head and then have a drawing of his eyebrows moving and put those on top, like swap out his eyebrows, just so that those are the only things animating. And that could have been what happened, where they were setting up each shot with him
Okay,
talking, and
and that's a
whoever
lot
was
less
taking
intensive in terms of like that's a lot cheaper to do than having to redraw the entire page.
right, yeah, exactly. And so whoever was taking the pictures might have just forgotten to put the eyebrow layers back in for those shots
Hmm.
because the um like in old Hanna-Barbera, like that's how Hanna-Barbera got really popular and how they were able to crank out so many cartoons. Like for instance, a lot of the male characters have a 5 o'clock shadow. Like if you think of Fred Flintstone or George Jetson, they have like
Hmm.
this perfect like muzzle around their mouth where their 5 o'clock shadow is. And that's because that's all they would animate a lot of the times is just the mouth moving. So that's all they would really need to swap out during the taking pictures of the drawings.
Hmm.
And that seems
Oh.
to be what happened here, and they just forgot to put the eyebrows in for some of those shots.
We then cut over to Ganon interrogating the three Vyres in the evil jar, trapped in the evil jar, and just kind of mad at them because they didn't quite know where they dropped the Triforce shards. So then he comes up with this ingenious plan that, you know what, he'll just let Link and Zelda find it, and he'll sneak up on them and take the Triforce shards, excuse me, for himself. And while he's brainstorming this, did you find this scene weird with his brainstorming method?
How he's snapping around the
Yeah,
room,
he's just,
teleporting.
yeah, he's
I
just
was gonna
jumping
say
all
that
over the place.
Ganon did it first before the Nintendo Switch with the snapping.
Uh, I mean, that's a bit of a stretch, but okay, I'll give it to you.
I don't know. It's almost the exact same sound effect that they used.
I don't think so, but well, let me listen again. Hold on. Nah, I mean, it's a little too echoey for that, but I could kind of hear it a little bit. That
Yeah.
would be funny if they used the same sample and cleaned it up.
But then again, I mean, there's only so many variations of a snap sound that you can make.
Yes, that is very true. So Link and Zelda go to Zelda knows apparently places to the underworld where the virus would take the Triforce shards. They go to this random puddle, and I love Link's. Did you hear Link's line for this before Zelda like drains the puddle and it reveals like a secret like stairway?
Yeah.
Did you see what? Do you remember what he says?
He said, I think
I
you're
wrote
all
it
wet.
down.
What does he say? Some kind of
It
pun.
looks just like a big puddle to me. It sounds like you're all wet, princess.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
What does that even mean in this context? Like, sound like I understand, we're reading it like a sexual connotation, and sounds like you're all wet, princess, into it. But like, realistically, in this moment, what does he mean by that?
He's trying to say that she's like not with it, but like it's such a stretch on that turn of phrase.
It really is. It makes no sense. None.
Yeah.
It's just
Not
so
really
silly.
sure what he was going for there, but yeah, but that's accurate to the old games too, where you could play the flute and drain the lake or whatever. So that was pretty cool, at least.
There's a surprising amount of like references in this show that the more we watch it, the more I find it, because a lot of it is like goes over my head because I have not played a lot of the early Zelda stuff. So a lot
Oh
of it
yeah,
is like kind of like above, like, just a little bit like over my head, but it still makes me happy to see how many references they actually did end up making. Um, they continue on down. Link gives Zelda some boomerangs, two boomerangs specifically, which come in handy later on. They're walking this kind of like underground maze of like castle spires, which is kind of cool looking.
huh. Yeah. I liked the entrance there, and that the entrance into the this underworld ends up being their exit as well, which they have a really cool effect
Mhm.
when they leave. But we'll get to that.
They are walking around this almost like what's that kind of like painting where, or that art where it's like the fucking the all the stairways, the impossible
Oh, the,
stairwells and whatnot.
the
You know what I'm
MC
talking about?
Escher kind of
Yes,
optical illusion.
that's what it is. It's very MC Escher esque in this like underground castle, and Zelda then puts the magic compass on top of the Triforce shard, and it directs him to where the next one is. And she goes, oh, it's through that door, and Link goes, all right, and walks up, and it's a whole room of ropes, which are actually snakes, but they're called ropes in Zelda, um, in Zelda games. And I actually got frustrated with this scene because I think this is another excuse me princess moment as well, because
Yes.
he's getting attacked by the ropes, and Zelda's like, don't attack them, Ganon will know where we're at. I'm like, well, what the fuck do you want him to do? He's getting attacked. Like, he doesn't really have that much time to think. Like, come on, man. Come on now.
No, exactly. And these ropes look legit. They're very kind of cartoony in the original game. These ones are pretty
Mm-hmm.
terrifying,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they tangle them up. Which the art direction here is pretty clever because they do look like lengths of rope with snake heads. The way that they've
Yeah.
got them, which is pretty cool. But yeah, he's all tangled up. He looks like he's doing like a rave party dance, holding onto the necks of these ropes, tried to not let them bite him, while Zelda's like,
It's,
"No, don't kill them.
it's
Ganon's gonna know we're here."
so fucking stupid. I still don't understand. Like, don't yell. Like, I don't understand why you're yelling at him. I don't. You're getting attacked by like 70 different snakes. It's not like it's one enemy that he could take on at a time.
He's
It
trying
was
not to die.
exactly, and also protect you. And they do find after this, or after this combat, though, they do find quote unquote the wettest place ever, or whatever. This is the wettest place around, the wettest place around. And I'm like, I think there's a lot of equally as wet places. In fact, a puddle would be equally as wet. Because anytime you see a body of water, whether it is a small puddle or a large lake, they are equally as wet. Technically, water
This is
isn't wet
true.
though, but besides the point. Um, that's a whole nother debate. But Link asks for a kiss. Zelda says no and pushes him off, and there's your third excuse me princess right there. excuse me, princess, as he's falling.
I love that one.
That's just amusing. And he dives in, grabs it, and then has to fight. What creature is it that he fights underwater that pops out?
The Aquamentus.
The Aquamentus. Is that an actual boss from Zelda?
Yes, the very, very, very first boss of the very first game in the first dungeon. He's like this weird unicorn dragon.
Mm,
Which I thought that's what they were fighting in the very first episode of this show, but they made this Aquamentus a lot more horse-like. Like it's
yeah.
basically the size of a unicorn or a horse, but with dragon features.
Hmm.
And it kind of, it kind of bucks around like a horse too while he's riding it.
Well, he's riding around on it. He can't really control it. Zelda defeats it for him once again, saves Link for at least the third time in this episode. Yeah, because she saved him from the ropes. She saved him from from falling at the beginning, and she saved him from Aquamentus. Now, the thing that is weird to me about this attempt, though, is that she throws a bomb right underneath him, which presumably would kill Link too.
Yes, this is for shooting his sword at her while she was holding the Triforce, I imagine.
Even though she told him to do that, though.
That's true. That's true.
I don't think he did anything wrong there. She's like, yeah, shoot this at me. It'll be fine.
Yeah, shoot me.
They get the piece. Link asks for another kiss. She just grabs the Triforce shard. He falls over. And they move on to the final place, which is like some type of like lava, fiery pit type of thing. Link has to use his shield to kind of block some of the flames, even though I'm pretty sure his shield is wood.
Yeah.
It doesn't look metal to me. It's wood. But that's besides the point. He gets to it, and that's when Ganon decides to show up. And I love how he gets out of this, though, where Ganon's like, give me the piece of the Triforce, or whatever he says there. And Link picks it up daintily with his sword and tosses it to him like hot potato.
Yes.
And honestly, pretty fucking smart. I was pretty proud of him for that.
Yeah, I made the same note. Like, that was actually a good plan. Right before that, though, which was really funny, was Link basically jinxing fate by being like, as soon as he puts his sword underneath the last piece of the Triforce, he's like, and the adventure is over, or something like that. Something really hammy, and that's when Ganon shows up. He's like, not so fast, Link.
Well, I love he starts fighting Link, right? And Link throws the thing at him, and then he hot potatoes it back. Like he throws it to Ganon. Ganon hot potatoes it over to Zelda because it's too hot, which she just catches on the top of the Triforce, the other two Triforce pieces.
He threw it back to Link, and then Link like slings it with his sword over. He's
oh
like,
yeah.
And in a perfect pose.
Then he zaps Ganon twice, and I love how they make it canon that you get zapped 3 times, you're dead.
Yeah,
that's just what happens. You get zapped 3 times and you gone, baby. Yeah. And he does it. He's like, I've already zapped you twice, Ganon. And he's like, but you won't get the third. And he surrounds Link with fire, and that's when Zelda saves Link again, which I'm all here for, by the way. I like that. I like the dynamic of like her forcing Link into like stupid situations, and then she has to save him so she can like hold it over him. And I would normally hate that if it was any other character. Normally I'd be like, you're putting your friend in, like you can't claim that you're a good person when you do all this shit. But Link's an awful human being, or an awful Hylian, excuse me. He's not a good person.
To play devil's advocate, though, or Ganon's advocate in this case, she was able to help Link with boomerangs, which Link had to give her before they started.
Yeah, but she still has to use them.
True, but I'm just saying she would have been useless if he hadn't given her the.
Where did she get the bomb from?
That dropped when he killed the ropes. Yeah, one of the ropes.
That's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Well, Zelda gets Ganon with the third hit. Link now all the fire's going crazy, and Link uses his shield to shield surf over the fire to pick
Yeah,
Zelda up and get and blast out of the well. It was kind of awesome.
it was pretty epic, and also did it before Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Ah, yes, yes, sir. I forgot about that. Thank you for keeping up on that. I always forget about that.
I never forget.
In the words of Ed, Ed, and Eddie, an elephant never forgets, but I forget what the elephant remembered. It's been a
I
while
am a
since I watched that
woodpecker,
cartoon.
except with dirt.
I am a
Those
lump.
lines.
Uh, so the episode ends with he's asking for a kiss once again, and she goes, "No, you're dirty, you're sweaty, or whatever." And Ganon is in the evil jar. He ends the episode in the evil jar, and he's frustrated that it's too cramped in there, too tight knit.
Yes. Move out of my way.
And
Yeah.
that is how Underworld Connections end. Now, Dex, before we move into the live action segment that accompanies this, the defective gadgetry, which is I actually can't wait for that. Based off of what I'm seeing in the description, Maurice Lamarche is in this.
Oh God.
I love Maurice Lamarche, man. I love.
Brain himself, right? Is that Maurice
Yep,
Lamar? Or no, am I thinking
that's
Wacko?
he's no, that's Brain. He plays
Okay, yeah, his brain.
Brain and Pinky in the Brain. I love Maurice Lamarche, man. He's also I'm hopefully going to be meeting him at a convention in the fall.
Ooh.
Um, and I want to chat with him. I want to set up not an interview. I want to get an autograph from him, and it's going to be kind of weird. It's going to be odd, but he was on one of my favorite podcasts, James Bonding, and he did a few episodes on it. So I kind of want to get him to sign something James Bond related, even though that makes no sense. And I'm sure no one else is going to ask him about it because that's like hyper specific. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for it. But anyway, final thoughts on Underworld Connections, Dex.
I thought it was actually pretty exciting. I know I've probably said this before that about a previous episode, but this would also not be a bad episode if you wanted to show someone the Zelda cartoon and convince them that Zelda is a cool franchise. That this would not be a bad episode to show. But I did mention at the beginning that there were some annoying elements because, like I said, I'm pretty sure there was 5 "excuse me, princesses" to the point where I think his last one was interrupted by Zelda being like, "Yeah, please stop that." Like putting her hand on his shoulder, like, "Okay, yeah, I get it." So there were some moments that were like that, and same thing with the addressing the don't kill the monsters. Ganon will find us. Because that's what he was doing is whenever they would kill one of the monsters and it would go to the evil jar again and be like, where did you find them? Oh, that's where they are. Okay. So I wish that was addressed a little bit more, and part of their plan. But there's little tiny things that we've noticed about previous episodes, but all in all, I mean, pretty perfect for this era, for this show. Pretty solid, well-rounded episode.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I really enjoyed this one quite a bit, which is saying something because as I've said in the previous 6 episodes on this cartoon, I hate this show. I shouldn't say I hate. I'm not a fan of this show. It's been very mostly missed. I can't even say hit or miss. It's been mostly missed. This one was a bit of a hit for me. I actually enjoyed this one quite a bit. It was amusing. The insanity of it really spoke to me, spoke to my me wanting to feel smart. So I appreciate that. So thank you for making me feel smart, cartoon. And yeah, I enjoyed this quite a bit. Now, uh, fun fact, listeners, both Dex and I forgot to watch the Defective Gadgetry live action segment that was supposed to appear with this. So we're going to take a quick pause, and I mean it will not be a pause for you, but we'll be right back. We're both going to watch this Defective Gadgetry clip right now, and you'll get our live reactions right after we come back. And we're back, listeners. We just watched Effective Gadgetry, and dude, I have to tell you, I have not genuinely laughed at one of these in a lot like this hard. I actually really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, no, that was really good. I think the cameo made it extra special, but even Mario and Luigi's behavior was on point, very
The
slapsticky.
the jokes were on point, man.
Yeah,
Like so the premise of this one, listeners, is that Inspector Gadget, played by Maurice Lamarche, even like they even have the Inspector Gadget theme song because I guess Deke did the animation for Inspector Gadget too, right?
yeah. Deke was like, or
Gadget as well, excuse me.
Inspector Gadget has been like the Mickey Mouse of Deke animation.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, so they could really do that. They could get away with all the music and whatnot. And so Maurice LaMarche as Inspector Gadget comes in, and there's lots of great gags where like he comes in and he's got like a sledgehammer hand, and Mario tries to like shake it, and it just pops off.
Yeah,
And then they're doing a whole bit where Luigi knows someone's about to call or knock before they arrive. So like he goes, Mario, could you get the door? He goes, what? And then a second later you hear a knock on the door and it's Inspector Gadget,
yeah,
And then and then Inspector Gadget, Maurice LaMarche goes, I'm expecting a call from my chief any minute now. And Luigi goes, oh, he's actually calling you right now. He goes, what? And then he goes, how does he do that?
yeah. Does he always do that? Mario's like, yep.
uh, and he just basically needs to get a tune-up before he goes on to his next mission. And I love the little like antenna that comes out of his finger.
Yes, that's straight from the cartoon.
It's so good. Like I know it's from the cartoon, but I just the doing it practically just made me so happy.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And that's the setup for it, right? That is the setup for this for the first episode, because after that then the cut goes to commercial, which side note, we're watching like what is it? It's someone taped their local TV station. I think they even said it's original commercials from 1989 from KPHO TV5 in Phoenix. So I'm assuming Phoenix, Arizona. And at 1 minute and 55 seconds into the video, they have a commercial break for Ultra Games.
Yes,
And
I had to watch that too.
dude, I love it. It's so great. It's so funny. Now, the actual like Zelda cartoon that's tied with it is not the one that we can see in what is it that we see in Wikipedia. It is not Underworld Connections. What did you say it was, Dex? You were able to see what it was?
Oh, it was the Moblins Are Revolting.
That's what it is, which we won't cover for a while.
Yeah.
So, because I'm pretty sure that's like towards the end of it, even. It's the very last Zelda one, actually, I believe. So it's gonna be a little bit until we get to that, but yeah. So they do the whole Zelda cartoon, and then it cuts back to like Mario and Luigi scrubbing up, like their doctor's getting scrubbed up for a surgery, and they're putting cotton balls in their ears in case the patient screams, so they're not surprised by it. And dude, I love this gag. I started laughing immediately when Luigi starts washing his hands because
splashing.
he's just there's a bucket with like, it looks like it's supposed to be like two paper towel rolls on the either side, and you can squeeze it tight so that way it dries your hand off as it comes out of the bucket once you're done washing. And Luigi's not like washing his hands, he's dipping them full like whole in and just splashing everything out. I can't even describe it. It is it just water's getting everywhere, and then Mario squeezes it tight for Luigi's hands to come out. Mario goes in to do it, and he has one hand open, like one hand normal, and the other hand's covered with a yellow rubber glove, and he's washing his hands. I'm like, why are you washing with your gloves on at this point? I don't actually, you know what, in hospitals you're supposed to do that, and then you put on your gloves afterwards, but still it's really amusing. And he gets his one glove in there though, and it's filled up with water, and Luigi quick takes it. He goes, waste not, want not, and he goes to water the flowers with it.
Yes, I thought that was funny. I also heard, they called each other, okay, Dr. Mario, yeah, Dr. Luigi. And I was curious, I was like, when did Dr. Mario the game come out? Which it came out July of that year as well. So
Okay. It's possible that they would have. I don't think they would have actually.
yeah. No, I think
So
it's a coincidence, I'm sure.
yeah. So they start operating on him, and Mario at first though can't get the glove on, which is amusing. And I think Luigi even says something like, remember what I always say, cleanliness is important, or cleanliness matters. And then he sneezes right into his gloves and doesn't doesn't bother, just wipes it on the back of Mario's smock, or they're just dress shirts on backwards, I'm noticing. Their scrubs are just dressed. I fucking love this.
So funny.
Why don't you describe the last little bit of it? I've been going on for a bit.
So they're very comedically like making up different tool names, and you hear all kinds of goofy sound effects of of them working on different things on Inspector Gadget, and they pan out, and it's just like a pile of like Inspector Gadget's clothes, just different
Yeah.
parts randomly on
And
the
he goes, how
table.
long have you been working for Dr. Claw?
Yeah, yeah. And Luigi's like, very funny. But they do get him back together, and he's sitting up, and he's like, I have to ask, where did you get those parts from? And they got him from the novelty shop. And so the gag
Well,
is that,
but before that line though, they hook up two like essentially what's supposed to be like heart monitors, kind of, but
oh
it's
yeah,
just like two electric clips to his jacket's lapel, not any part of his actual body, just his jacket's lapel.
yeah.
And
I don't. Is it the lapel? Yeah, I guess you're right. It is the lapel. I thought it was like a pocket or something, but yeah, it was the lapel.
and then I forget what they say, but he's like, "Yep, your like electric rate's normal," and like the gauge is just going fucking crazy.
Yeah,
It doesn't make
it's
any rhyme or
clearly
reason.
someone just turning a dial like behind everything. Like, yep, you're
Mm-hmm.
running great. Here's our bill. Can you pay by check and all this stuff? Yeah, that's when he's like, I
And
gotta ask where you got the spare parts from.
yep, and that's where the novelty store thing comes in. And he gets up, and then he's got slinky hands.
Yep, yep.
Oh, it's
And
great.
Luigi says, "Do we?" Or Mario says, "Should we tell him about some of the other parts that we replaced?"
Nah.
And yeah, nah, and the token Inspector Gadget of Go Gadget, whatever sprouts out. Go Gadget rocket shoes, and we get a nice little shadow puppet of the rocket shoes zooming past the windows outside of
Mm-hmm.
their shop.
And they laugh about it like it's rocket shoes. And that's how the episode then ends. And that is in the video, since once again it was taped off TV, it jumps right into Alvin and the Chipmunks, which,
Yes.
oh man, I forgot how great that theme song was.
Yeah, I was all of the commercials that I skimmed through. I was like, I might have to go back and watch these because I definitely remember some of them. One of them was for the board game Kerplunk, which I still have in my closet and play with my son every now and then. So good times.
And in speaking of good times, Dex, I think this is the strongest Zelda episode we've seen. This was all
Yeah,
good times.
for sure. I agree.
I really enjoyed this one quite a bit, and I'm very happy we covered this one. I don't know how long this episode's going to be in the end, just because we've had behind the scenes listeners, a lot of crazy stuff was happening while we were trying to record, and we kept having to take pauses and breaks. But not, and we planned for somewhat planned for the defective gadgetry thing, but everything else was just, it was a little crazy. But I think this, I still had a really good time on recording this, Dex. I always appreciate you hopping on for this. So that should do it for this episode of the Still Loading podcast. Thank you all once again for listening. Thank you for joining us on this, and I hope you've been enjoying our look through all these video game cartoons. We're having a great time with it. So, Dex, before we head out, where can the good people find you online, and what would you like to promote?
Well, you can find me online. Most of the social media websites, just search my name, Dexter Morrill. And the thing I'll promote this time is Josh and I were both recently on the Old Switcheroo podcast
Yes.
to talk about Kid Icarus. We were specifically brought on because there weren't a whole lot of positive. There wasn't a lot of positive, feedback for the Kid Icarus game that we were talking about. So the hosts wanted to have us on to also kind of talk about Kid Icarus from the Captain N series, which we covered. So it was
Which
a
we
really good time.
fortunately or unfortunately are now experts on.
Yeah, right. Unintentional experts. But it felt like a good time, and I think we ended up, speaking a lot more positively about the Kid Icarus game than was originally, thought to have. So it ended up being a really good time. We laughed, we cried, we talked about Kid Icarus. So definitely go check that out.
Yeah, I'll include a link in the show notes for that one as well. Um, as for myself, you can also follow me on social media at stillloadingpodcast.com on Blue Sky, at stillloadingpod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitch. I do stream on Twitch somewhat frequently, usually at least once a week, once or twice a week. And then also want to shout out my buddy Andrew over the Experience Point at the EXP Point over on Twitch. We do Talk Tuesday every Tuesday, unless I'm recording something, which actually this Tuesday, the day we are recording this, I am recording something that night, so I will not be on that Talk Tuesday. But I'm over there most Tuesdays for Talk Tuesday, and that goes on around in between 8 and 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just depends on like when we're able to get started, but we usually go for a few hours, and it's a grand old time. But you can find me in all those different places. If you like this podcast and you want to support it and you want to see it grow, which I would be very appreciative of, you can do so in a bunch of different ways. Probably the easiest way is just giving it a 5-star rating or review on Apple Podcast or whichever podcasting app you use. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just a moment of your time, and it does help more people find the show, and it would really mean a lot to me. It's easy to do. You can just go do that over on Apple Podcasts, or Podcast Addict is another popular podcasting app or whatnot. Spotify, stuff like that. You can also support the show over on Patreon. If you really like the show, I got a lot of extra goodies over there. Patreon.com/stillloadingpod. For $1 a month, you get all the episodes earlier with better audio quality and patron voting rights, which help guide the direction of the show. You can vote on future games and topics on the podcast. You can also there's also a $3 level where you get everything at the $1 level, plus patron shoutouts, which you heard at the beginning of this episode. For $4 a month, you get all of that previous stuff, plus 2 mini bonus episodes. And $5 a month, you get everything. All of that, all previous tiers, plus access to my monthly movie podcast, which right now, the time we are recording this, is called Still Family, my monthly Fast and Furious movie podcast, where all the guests who join me aren't just friends. Their family. So that is all at patreon.com/stillloadingpod. There's a lot of extra content for you over there, so please consider checking it out. It would really mean a lot to me. And that's it. That is all the time I have for you on this episode of Still Loading. Thank you all once again for listening. Dex, thank you once again for joining me.
Always a blast.
And with all that said, listeners, excuse me, princess.